What's going on, traders? How we doing out there? Welcome back here. We're going to get back into start swing trading, and it looks like we got ourselves a little bit of a rally today. Can you guys believe that? I know that everyone's yelling bank crisis out there, but what are the stocks telling us? Let's take a look into it. SPY overall keeps bouncing off this channel. This is my focus now. I know that the FOMC meeting is going to come, but I think our biggest and most important thing to watch for is, do we come back into the channel, right? That's going to be very vital for these stocks. Do we go back into that channel, or do we just come up towards the 400 right now at 397.98, almost to 398s? Today, I talked about maybe getting to that 400. It looks like, we ain't going to get there, but we definitely had still a nice ride up. And when has this all happened? Pretty much since 2 p.m. Really. I mean, we were just down there. Now we just started taking off here. Let's take a look at different stocks. NVIDIA getting a nice little uplift. Some technology names out there getting a nice little uplift. Apple, nice little uplift. I actually got stopped out on Apple earlier today around the 157.50 area. Now it's up there to 159. And look at the daily chart on Apple. We've talked about this daily chart now, looking for this move back towards 154. We created this originally on the 6th of March, updated it on the 9th. That was this trend line that you guys see here. And look at that move up on Apple. It looks to me, at least from Mega Tech, that these are looking like breakout charts, not necessarily something that I would necessarily see in a bearish environment. You remember when everybody was calling out that, these earnings stocks, it doesn't seem to be like, this is not the reaction that we normally get in bearish environments. Well, these big mega techs, well, that's actually looking a lot better. And when the big mega tech is looking better, that definitely gives potential for a run to come into the market. You guys can see Apple getting a nice lift today, Google continuing to the upside. And just to point to it, look at Apple. I've talked about this crossover. Will the 50 crossover today and get another golden cross there? Let's keep going to some different names. Google having another strong day up there to 105.22s. Definitely killing myself over here because I wanted the 90s in Google's. And look at that. It came to 90. Not only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 6 days down there, giving you the opportunity. I had a feeling someone was loading big there. And yeah, it seems to me like the big boys were loading up 90s. Even as I was cutting through here on these 89 days, I could see them loading it up. Now it's back up there to 105.22. It could get up there to maybe 108s, but definitely getting up towards resistance. Will this turn around a little bit? Or will it just continue to pump higher? It looks like Google, not a bad move there. Microsoft, I wanted to see if we were going to be able to close green on Microsoft. It was red all day, but now it's looking like it wants to start making a move back up. And it just needs to get through the opening price of $274.95. Get back to 275, and you're not looking too bad on the daily sideways action here. Will we get kind of a little bit of a kind of, you could call this a cup and handle, right? You guys can see here, this is kind of be your kind of cup pattern. And then now you're getting more into your handle pattern over here. Will we get that next step up and get the breakout through the 285 and continuing to go higher? This definitely leaves room for bullish outlook. And of course, a golden cross already showed up on this yesterday. So that's also a positive. A lot of the times on golden cross, we get breakouts and then pullbacks. So just be careful there. We could still get a pullback here for it to kind of reload back up. But of course, what is this all going to depend on? It's all going to depend on the FOMC meeting tomorrow, of course. And where can you guys catch that? Right here on Benzinga. Hit that subscribe button down below if you guys want to get notified when these moments happen. And we'll have the FOMC conference right here on our channel, so you guys can catch it. Of course, 2:30 tomorrow. Don't miss that. And like always, I like to teach newer traders that remember that the release gets released at 2 p.m. That's when you get that PDF off of the Fed website, you guys can read it. This is exactly what Jerome Powell reads off of at the beginning of the conference and then goes to the Q&A. That's when the fireworks begin, team. So definitely pay attention to that. Hit the thumbs up for that extra added tip there. And let's get back to the markets. Going to dive into what stocks you guys are checking out and what stocks were hot and what stocks weren't today. Like always, if you guys got a nice trade or maybe a swing trade that keeps building, let me know in the chat. We can definitely take a look into it. Let's take a look at who's out there. We got Milky Fade in the house. Love the name. I'm not going to lie. Milky Fade. Like it. The Crow in the house. You know Captain Kirk. I see you out there. The suspense always killing me. Waiting for Benzinga. You know it's going to be good. Hey, I love that name, the Milky Fade. Wisdom, what's going on out there? How we doing? All right, Florida in the house. MD, buy and sell. I like that. Buy and sell. There you go. I'm thinking the government's asked advice from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett knows the stock market. Who knows? Maybe Warren goes in and tries to help some of these regional banks. I think he's probably staying away, but we'll find out, right? And no Boyle on the ban list, Wisdom. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Florida, easy. The Crow out there. Kyle James did some great on Tesla calls. The Tesla Dragon. You guys know that stock. Smash the like. Let's see if we can get to 50 likes here, even before 3:15. I'll set a little like goal there. We got over like close to 100 of you guys. So smash it up. Let's see what we see on that Tesla chart. Tesla with a nice little rip there to 197. We were looking for a move to 200. Now the question only is, do we drive through this 200 or do we pull back? That's the hard part, I think, with Tesla. And one thing to note, we did get it down there towards extreme lows. It didn't get there to the extreme. It got to RSI 30. So I'm really not going to call that an extreme oversold because like when we came down here, we were down to an RSI of 12. So just keep that in mind. We'll see if Tesla can keep moving, but definitely a nice rip today. And shout out to you, Kyle James. You got that profit. Take that money and run, man. Can't blame you for it. That's how it is. Ravi, things are looking bullish, but sentiment bearish. That's when it can get confusing, right? When we're kind of mixing back and forth, right? And it's like that right now. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of uncertainty because some people are thinking, well, if the FOMC meeting, if they stop the rate hikes, is that a negative? Is that a positive? Remember how there was a time when we kind of flipped the narrative where bad news became good news and good news became bad news? Now that whole mentality is literally twisted. It's just going to depend on who you're talking to. If good news is good news or bad news is bad news. So with this being said, even tomorrow when the FOMC meeting happens, I'm going to really be paying attention to what happens towards the end of the day, not necessarily only on the reaction first from what happens on the FOMC meeting. The algos will be jumping in every direction. I don't think they'll have it right. And so just be careful out there. The first move could be a fake out, but something to keep an eye out. All right, let's get out of that talk. We can go into certain stocks out there. And I'll tell you guys, it's been a hard one. I haven't really been taking some swing trades. And normally I come to this show already 4 trades deep, looking to kind of tell you guys about it, how we can go after some new setups. But I've really been on the sidelines a little bit in the last 2 days. And there's a reason why. I don't know what's going to happen at the FOMC meeting. And if I try to predict, is that going to go ahead and increase my probability of getting into the success, right? To the money, to the green? Well, I don't think this is necessarily the case, but let's keep going. I love this game too, Crow. What's going on, man? I can't blame you for going after it. Let's get into some different stocks out there. It's good to see you, Talib. In NVIDIA, Apple, AMD for the swing? Not a bad one. Let's get into some other stocks and take a look underneath the hood. All right, so I always like to get into what was hot and what was not. Let's go to that. That's where we take a look at the sectors in the industry. Take a look at the leading stocks, right? That's what we want to find. Of course, energy coming back for the second day. This is why I didn't want to jump into the short trade on energy that quick, because it can get that lift and reversal signs. Oil loves a trade contrarian. Sometimes it goes down for a couple of weeks and all of a sudden it just starts rallying right back up. So at this point, what am I focusing on? Well, I'm looking at WTI. And what did we get up to? We've gotten up there towards 69.43s multiple times now. In the last kind of like hour and a half, we've been up here at around the 69.50s. And I want to see if we get into the 70 handle. If we get into the 70 handle, we could easily be right back to 72, where we were seeing a range in crude, right? We were seeing that range between kind of 72 and 80, and it was just going down and up, down and up, down and up. One thing I don't want to see is it go right back to that support and get above it. But if we start using that prior support as resistance, just like we do in stocks, that's what I'm going to be looking for in the oil trade. And an easy way to look at this can also be just using like the XLE, right? The Spider Energy ETF. Well, one outlook would be for me, we broke down from this level, this 84 level, right? Well, if we look, when we drew this on the 8th, right? 8th of March. And that was right here. 8th of March is right here. So before this started breaking down, we were looking for the breakdown. We got that breakdown. We got some profits into that, right? Now, as the stock comes back to these levels, we're going to look for it to use this as resistance. So getting back up there towards maybe like 83, maybe even into the 83s, and then rejecting right back down. So a move that would take us closer to that, and then eventually rejecting that move back to the downside towards that 76. That's what I'm going to be looking for in oil. And with that being said, I could either swing in a short term, like maybe a day or two, back to the upside, or just wait till it gets to those levels and then come in with the hammer. We'll find out if I come in with that hammer. Like always, you guys can smash the like. It's good to see you guys out there. David knows, talking about Microsoft. We'll get to it. UVXY. I need to get on that UVXY. Dylan, how we doing out there? Always love your pit in the picture. Definitely shout out to him or her. It looks like a her, but who knows? You let me know, Dylan. What's your dog's name? Oh, I love some pits out there. All right, let's keep going. Robbie's in the chat. I see you guys out there. WP Trader, RSI on WTI is not favorable. Oil hard to gauge, but hesitant due to warming temps and surplus. Yeah, and my biggest thing with energy is more along what happens with the recession concern, right? Right now, no one's even talking about it, but this is going to get us closer to that recession if we are going to get to recession or not. So I'm really closely paying attention to that, because if we do get recession, a lot of times demand comes down in oil, and that would hit down the crude prices. But we'll have to wait and see to find out what happens there. Let's keep watching different areas. And if you guys catch anything in the oil trade, let me know out there, because definitely I want to take some shots. All right, let's keep going. Let's go into different area here. Let's take a look. Energy definitely led. We can take a look at those names just really quickly. I'm going to just talk about the bigger ones. XOM back there to 106.85. So very easily, you know how we did the XLE? What would it be for me on this chart, guys, right? You guys can clearly see my line. What do you guys think about XOM? Well, we broke down from this kind of uptrend line. We broke down right around the 110, the 109s. We're right now at 106.85. I'll look for that little move up there, create some resistance around the 109, 110s, and then reject right back down. A lot of times, this is how this market is working right now, which is take the money and run. So you get that first swing. And if you don't take those profits, the stock has a tendency of swinging right back into your break even, right? I mean, when I was shorting Chevron, I was in the 160s. We're almost back there. Very similar chart. Going to look for the same action. Getting out of energy. Let's keep it going. All right. Consumer cyclical getting a little bit of a bounce back. But what do you see here on the weeklies is you see a lot of just chop. So these are the names that I'm trying to not be too big on in the consumer cyclical area. But of course, there's some bigger names here that we got to pay attention to, like in specialty retail, Amazon getting a nice little lift now and getting back above the 100. I think this is very important because we were looking to see if we would make this move right back up there, right? Well, we are making this move back to the upside, and we could come back to what? Fill this gap. This is what I think some traders are taking their shots on, especially today as we start going higher and higher. Will we get through the FOMC meeting, get through this 101.11, and start making our way back to 110 on Amazon? You can see here, this gap has existed in the past, and we got through there through a gap. Let's see if we get there actually with some price action, going back up through Amazon's 101.11, which was, of course, Thursday's high, which was 199. Let's get through there, start making our way into the 101s, up there into the gap zone. The gap zone starts about 105.50. I do like the chart, especially if we stay in the bullish sense. We'll see what happens there on Amazon. And of course, with that being mentioned, let's take a look a little bit at the China trade. China trade is playing a little bit of catch up. Of course, you guys have seen how tech has really taken off of late. Well, Chinese stocks have not really participated in that rally. So if we do get ourselves a continued tech rally, will we just see the bounce in these China names and start to get that up move? Today, we're already getting some of that up move. Just going to keep watching to see what happens on BABA. It is trying to get back there towards the 86, has that kind of reversal action right now, trying to get back there. This is something that I definitely keep on watch. I'm probably only day trading BABA and these China stocks because I'll tell you the truth, there's just too much political uncertainty with China names for me to be overnighting these. So I have no problem kind of maybe doing a little bit of a day trade on these, but I don't think I'm going to be taking too many swings in China. All right, let's get out of BABA. Let's keep going. We were talking about some specialty retail names. Of course, we can take a look at some other high beta names, but I'm going to step out of this area. The only area that I'll kind of just peek into really quickly is like department stores. How's Macy's doing? Those aren't doing too good there. There was one today in retail that was pretty impressive, right? That was on. I don't know if you guys caught that stock, but definitely look at the daily chart on this one. It was really pretty. We actually created this trend line on March 21st, and we were looking for this to kind of get that nice little step up, right? So that was a nice little lift there. We were going to look to see if this was going to get the push. It didn't even pull back, though. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for a pullback towards kind of the 24 level, and that didn't happen. So it continued on with a nice little rip. Got it on. But definitely it's holding the VWAPs on pullbacks right now. So this actually looks really strong to me. Even on a 5-minute basis here, you can see kind of this pattern here. If you want to draw the uptrending line, then you make it kind of more into this pennant. We'll see what happens with on if it wants to take that next step up through 28. But definitely one of the strongest stocks on the day. And with this one, I talked about, would we get some sympathy run in Nike? And you guys are seeing that move right now. Nice little move there in Nike, holding up. And why this stock? Well, first, Foot Locker gave some kind of not good guidance. But with that one being said and getting out of the way, then on coming in here and getting a nice little push, I could see Nike kind of coming in. And even if they give some like decent numbers, they could just push right back here towards the high around 128. But definitely, I feel like some traders probably jumped in it for the trade today, and you could see some profit taking towards the bell. We'll see what happens on Nike. Nice little move there. And of course, keep your eyes on that DEX stock. Man, that one's been so strong, hasn't turned around. And I mean, look at this move, team. It even pulls back a little bit here in March, takes right back up to the upside. So definitely one of the best stocks and definitely a leader in footwear and accessories. Something that we don't talk about often is this Deck Outdoor Corporation, but definitely making a big move. And the stock that I won't get in front of, I know out there, where's Jay in the chat? I know he's out there somewhere. He's always telling me, you better not get short on the Crocs game. And I'm telling you, I've stayed away. Even though I've wanted to short the shoes with holes, I'm staying away from this. This is actually staying strong here. So we'll see what happens there on Crocs. If it can get back up there through the 130s, it won't be looking too bad. You can see this kind of bunch up on the weekly. It looks kind of a little toppy with this candle in the middle. You can maybe call that a head and shoulders. I wouldn't call it a head and shoulders. But I'm looking for this move back up above kind of this 130 area, and then it could take off. Of course, Nike's report is going to make a big factor in this, and also probably affect like a stock like Skechers that's just sitting sideways here. If Nike could have a good report, maybe a little sympathy could get it towards 48 and 49. We'll see what happens here Skechers USA. Who's wearing Skechers out there? I don't think many are, but we'll find out. All right, smash the like button. Jay said, could be a bull flag on Crocs. We'll have to find out. All right, the Crow Hammer saw China, Russia, India hiding how much gold they really have. Yeah, I'm sure they have some gold somewhere, right? I mean, they want to have some currency. Let's take a look at the gold trade. I saw that turning around today, and then I saw a mention on GLD that kind of hit it on the downside here. But gold definitely pulling back as of late. Let's take a look at the daily chart. This was already pushing higher, now pulling back. And this is the type of market we're in. Let's just be honest. It's the take your money and run type of market. It's very hard to get these continuation moves where something gives you a little breakout and continues to go, right? A lot of the times we're seeing moves like we saw on silver, right? Or you guys saw me on live trading. I got cut here on this kind of 17 day. It came back to 1650, right back up there, back down, right back up. It's just difficult dealing with the chop right now. And I think part of that is just the uncertainty in the market. So even when we do get some kind of trend moves, the next day, the banks could be down. So who knows? Maybe we come back after silver or we don't. I think this is how the market's trading right now. Very kind of day to day. And that's very rare. And the only situations that usually happens is what? Times of uncertainty. And we're definitely at the height of it right now. We'll see what happens there in silver if we can get this move to come back up. I was watching aluminum and copper, second day in a row that we're starting to see these move. FCX, nice little day 2. Looks like even a day 4 move, right, on FCX. I've been looking at SCCO to see if FCX is going to recover because I like the way that this one trades a little bit better than FCX. I feel like FCX is a little bit more volatile, has this kind of big upswings, big downswings. So we'll see what happens if this one keep climbing the wall of worry. And of course, this is a copper play, and this is in basic materials. Agricultural inputs, not having a bad day today. Keeping a close eye on MOS. MOS did make that nice big run before this all situation happened. Now we started seeing a little bit of a turnaround around the 43 support. And you guys can see that especially off of the monthlies. I've been talking about the monthlies on MOS, and you guys can see how there's some support there. And what do you see there? You guys are seeing the 200-month average there. Right there, it's at 44. So it seems to me around 44, 43s. We have some nice support here. If we could just come back and, get through this kind of trend line back towards 55. Of course, this is going to take a while to get there. We're right now around 45. I'll look to see if these agricultural inputs can actually get the lift. And of course, this is more of that potash trade, potash trade. So keep your eyes on MOS. And there's a couple in here that we also take a look at, right? CTVA. This is one to kind of keep an eye on. NTR was a winner for me, and I got out of this one. Now we'll look to see if this can come back. I like this chart too. Look at the monthly chart, but just needs to come back on the month. We'll see where we close and where we open next month, start making our way. And we're only about 2 weeks for the end of the month, so something to keep a watch out for. All right, let's keep going. There's a couple more that we want to get into. Technology names have been really the strength, right? And I think that this is where we need to kind of keep watching to see what happens. If you guys take a look here at this is a sector overall outlook. And why I like this one is that it's unweighted. And so a lot of times when you're looking at like your XLK or something, your tech stocks like that, if you're looking at the spiders, you see so much kind of the bigger names driving the boat, right? Well, this at least gets it on kind of an equally weighted outlook on the index. And you can see here how we're kind of, just flagging up above here. You could call this a descending triangle here, but we are still pushing up towards that kind of 8,200. And really, it doesn't look weak by any means. I mean, you take a look at the Qs are pushing higher. That looks strong. Look how you see the kind of the 50 really kind of pushing and trying to get closer and closer to the moving average. The 9 EMA, far from the price action, just showing us how quickly the Qs have really gotten some strength. And I know that it's fighting the IWM, but the SPY overall and the Qs are showing us a little bit more that who knows? Maybe we can climb this wall of worry, get out of the interest rate hike rates, shore up this banking situation, and who knows? Could we push back towards 410, get to 420? That'd be a new bull market in my eyes. We'll have to keep an eye out on this. And it's a throwback look, right? We'll see if we get back up there. But let's get out of the overall market, my type of looking. And like always, what I want to do is get to traders, right? And I always talk about sometimes you get confused and you feel even out of tune in the market. We need to always bring on traders that can bring some calmness to the market, perspective, and like always, can just take a look at the market in a objective bias, right? I think that a lot of times we get to this point where talking heads, and you guys see me on pre-market prep, we look at the market so much, we get into this prediction mode. Right now, I'm trying to do no prediction. Why? Because I don't know where the market's going to go. The only thing that I can see is that the price action, at least for me, is showing that the market might be ahead of the banking situation, at least the worries for right now. But that could also change in a heartbeat with what happens tomorrow on that FOMC meeting. Let's get out of this. Let's bring on our trader today. Yes, we sometimes need a calming voice, Crow. Sometimes it's going to be a female. Sometimes it could be a male. In this case, it's one of our best traders, Anne-Marie Baiynd. Welcome back on. It's good to have you on.
It's nice to be here with you, of course. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfectly, and I hope the crowd hears you perfectly. They're excited to have you on today, so welcome back. Let's get to it. Let's first take a look at the overall situation. How are you approaching a situation like this?
You know, I really loved what you said just a minute ago about the market being being ahead of itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, many times, particularly as you studying and getting some more three letters behind your name, which I'm really excited for, we realize that the market's a forward pricing mechanism. And we could be getting ahead of things a little bit. To me, it seems like a lot of algorithmic trading, a lot of traders hopping in and hopping out, just like you said a moment ago about take your money and run kind of market. So you move from space to space. And so as we look at the market, what we have to think is, if things went in the opposite direction of what I hope for and what I'm positioned for, will I be in trouble and scrambling to get out of the market? And so you and I both know we've been around the block a couple of times. You certainly have been right in the fray there with us for the last bit. And you know that the key is to keeping your cash so that you have it to deploy in the spaces where the market is good to you. And so I've been hiding in leadership spots. And so you might go, wow, what does that leadership spot look like? I'm looking for, across the sectors, who's performing the best, who pulls back the least on the ugliest days, and then try to position in there, knowing that even if the market takes a turn and you could come down a little bit in your holdings, you know that it's not going to tumble because there are a lot of meme stocks chasing after you. You know, every time I hear the Crocs, I get a twinge in my guts because someone said to me when Crocs was $8, they said, you should buy that. I'm like, rubber shoes? That's never going anyplace. And so there it is right now. I also remember DEC when it was, you know, $56, and now it's screaming. You know what they've done tremendously well is they join local and athletic communities, and they funnel all their things in there. They've got a great marketing team that's really doing some incredible stuff. So even though that is a space where you think, wow, should I be putting my money in shoes and those kinds of things, We will look for the joy as things go awry in other places. We'll look for the joy in athletics, right? I mean, a lot of us are looking at March Madness. A lot of us are,
Yeah.
doing whatever. And when things get bad, we want to go out and we want to play sports together. We want to feel more communal there. And so I think Deck is really well positioned for that group. And you can see how well they're trading, right? You just know you got to wait for a pullback because it has pulled back every time it's moved forward. There's nothing that's going to break away. And that really is the key, it is the key about positioning. I love the setup that you had just before I came on where you had all the spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind going back to that for a bit and talking through how you use that in your study for looking around to say, all right, here's where I go, here's what I look at? Because I think this is a really great anchor for a swing trading mentality space. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you put it together.
Definitely. And this is a TC 2000. It's a little bit of an older program. Some people hit me on that, but I like the way it works, right? It's a paid program. But what I like is just the one page effect, right? There's a lot of times where we have different tools that, require us to work a little bit more than just a one page, right? And one of my always things is trying to find intermarket analysis. Where's the money going to? Where's the rotation? Right? A lot of this sometimes can change on a dime in a day, right? It could be where you're seeing a change. And I think the important part for me is that when I first started getting into trading, of course, I did a lot more of what? Bottom up analysis, right? Where we started looking in the morning, we'd, take our gappers list. We'd be like, oh, what's the top gapper? Oh, let me go look at that one, right? And then I'd work backwards and I wouldn't understand really why the stock was moving. But then as I started working more and more into my studying, I started going more with a top-down approach, right? I want to know what sectors are moving. What are the leading sectors, right? Because if we can play the leading sectors that are, having the best return for the year on the long side, that already, to me, I feel like gives me a nice edge, right?
Wind at your back.
Yeah, definitely, right? Some tailwind, right? I mean, what that shows me is that I'm at least trading in the areas where the big boys are carrying the gains, but I just want to make something in between there, right? And then I also want to pay attention to the sectors that are getting hit the hardest so that we can somewhat either maybe play these to the short side or at least avoid these areas because they're getting hit, they're getting pounded on, right? And I think that another thing that it's important that why I use this is that a lot of times I have it like this where it's change percent from the open, which I think is very important to catch too, because a lot of times you get these fake outs where the sector is necessarily, let's say, red overall, but from the open, it just took off.
Right.
And so that's what I try to use these from working from sectors into industries and then going to the stocks that are in that industry, because then I can really find the relative strength. And not only am I going backwards, but I'm actually working into industries. And sometimes I can catch like an industry-wide move, like sometimes like a day like today on solar. That was an easy, clear move that I could clearly see right out the back. You had EMPH getting a nice little move, First Solar.
Yeah.
And you could see here, what do you see here? A lot of green action, right? And so when I can play names like this and I still haven't developed the system for it, my hope is to eventually have like a coding system where I could be like, go play those solars, right? And then it could buy the basket, right? That's how I want to approach it in the long run. But that's how I kind of go after it because I'm always trying to find the relationship style play, right? A lot of times you're going to miss the first move. Maybe it was ENPH that gave us the first move, the first kind of breakout at the open. But that could have maybe given us a chance to kind of catch the dip in First Solar, right? And things like that. So I'm always looking for that leader laggard style trade.
Very cool. So one of my big favorites, really, because I think about putting money wherever the government puts money, as I think forward from a swing trading perspective, where's money going to gravitate? We are sitting in an environment where politicians are increasingly focused on the things that keep them elected. And so that ends up being programs that will move certain parts of the environment together. Plus, with healthcare, I think, and the healthcare system, I think that there's going to be a push together because we are an aging society. There are a lot more people that are near my age than yours. And so where things start breaking on us. So we sort of look for that sort of thing. So, you know, in terms of long-term look, I want to know what you think about LNTH.
LMTH.
LN. N is in Nancy.
Let's take a look at this. I honestly haven't seen this too much, so let's take a look. I would just go first monthly, right? Always start on the deeper time frame. And you can
look at the strength that this stock has.
Yeah, right off the back, you can see at least one thing that I always love is when I see a stock that when it did IPO, yeah, it could go down a little bit. That's normal, right? But it wasn't like a just straight disaster and then has come back. It's actually been holding since it's come out. And if anything, had a couple of years of consolidation and now has really gotten the motor going. That's one thing we could clearly see. Let's go to the weekly and you can see a little bit more here. I like pullback. So let's take a look just more on the fibs outlook from this kind of expansion up. And you can see if we drew it to the bottom from the move, that's going to be about the 61.8 retracement right on the dot there. So the golden mean around 50. Oh, that's holding that held pretty there. Now we're coming right back up here towards the high. Of course, there's some resistance going to come into play here.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit there, especially into like kind of the 86 area. And what I like to do is I normally put my like resistance line. I'll try to put it closer to the body than the wick because I consider wicks extreme. So I'll try to put it a little bit closer toward the body there. And we'll look for a move to 86. Now, right now, I mean, this is moving. One thing that I liked about this is that it did a gap up sideways, came right back to support, and then really started getting the motor going again. So at this point now, it's going to be kind of just following with the trend. As long as I feel like it stays above the 9 EMA, this trend could continue.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking to get involved in this one at around the 78 area. If it can just pull back a little bit, I've missed out on a lot of trades because I refused to buy a high. But in my mind, it's just better for me to try and get it on the cheap, and if not, then I'll find another cheap spot. But I like these guys a lot, and I am a huge fan of this healthcare sector in medical diagnostics, which I love because Dexcom, which is one of my favorite, DXCM, they had a Super Bowl commercial. And the funny thing is that, it's pretty volatile, right? If you look at that, it gets up to about 120, it might shoot up, and then it just comes crashing back down. But every time it's come into 105 over the last several months, it's been a really, really nice buy. So I'm looking for it one more time to come in. And if it doesn't hold, I know I need to get out right away. But these guys make diagnostics for diabetes. And, there are a lot of us that eat very poorly that I think this is it's a really great company. So again, in diagnostics and research. And although, a lot of people go, wow, I don't want to go there. It feels a little nerve-wracking to be down in diagnostics or medical devices. But the ones that are strong stay strong. So you can always do something that says, show me something above my 9, above my 21, if you're looking at the EMA, and say, hey, if I see both of those off the weekly, then I'm just going to wait for a pullback and let trend take me. That's really the thing we have to do as traders right now is just be patient. The market will not run away from you. It won't. It's not that kind of environment. So just sit on your hands and take some deep breaths if you get anxious, and don't chase it in. Just wait for it. Let the market come to you. Be that Zen space. There's a real truth to being still and letting things come to us. But most of us are in the market because it's super exciting work, right? I mean, I love the charts and I love the excitement of the market, but I am very, very controlled about looking at those things. And that's just what you do. And I absolutely love this setup here.
I love it. I love it because as you're speaking there, all I did was just like go to diagnostics research, put my RSI on, right? Just so I could at least find the strength. And then now I can start going through here. And really what I would want to do is like maybe like not pay attention to like capitalization, like under, let's say like 200 mil. And
Right.
then just pay attention to the ones like that are like in the billions, right? That's an easy way to looking at it. That's why I also have capitalization on here. So we could take a look at some of these that are really starting to show up strength. And a lot of times this is how I more along find plays because like you said, I'm looking in diagnostics research and let the stocks just stand out to me, right?
Exactly. If you've got to look at a chart and go, I wonder what that's going to do, it's probably one that you don't want to put your money in.
You gotta feel that conviction when you see the charts, especially if you watch charts all the time. There's just charts that will stand out to you. You'll be like,
absolutely,
this looks great. Now, I do want to mention that we are getting a rip in the market. I don't know if there's any news related because I've been hanging out with you. But look at that. That's a nice little move here for the close. Looks like we definitely got from 2 p.m. a nice little rise there on the market. And a lot of these kind of tech stocks just taking off lately. So big move there. I'm seeing Adobe up about 3%. Look at that.
What has it? What? Oh my. What is that? Oh, 5 minutes.
Look at that Adobe move.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, that's
what ends up happening. What ends up happening a lot is when the 0 DTEs start moving into the space and they have to end up covering all day long. They had a lot of puts sitting in there and a lot of calls, and the market's sort of grinding right in the space. And the second price starts to take off. If they're short the calls, they're going to have to start buying them back. And that is really going to push the prices up. And so I'm sure market on close. Let me see if I can get what that OPEX movement is right now.
Yeah, it's a nice movement there for sure. I wanted to hear your outlook on a sector that I've been keeping a close eye on, which is energy, because I feel like this is one that's interesting for me. I swung it short last week, was able to make a little bit of profit on that. Big thing for me is like watching the XLE kind of break down through those daily levels. And now it just seems like it's bouncing back. I'm still looking at that crude price in the 60s. I think if we could stay in the 60s, it doesn't look too bad for that turnaround right back. But I think a lot of this will also depend on what happens here, because what I was thinking also was like big banks or anybody that was holding like a big position in energy and had just been riding it with this situation, it'd probably scare me to just take that profit off and rotate it somewhere. Where I see a lot of money rotating is technology right now.
Right.
So I'm wondering if we'll see that, money slide from energy slowly but surely towards those technology names.
Here's the thing. We can't work without energy inputs. And I think, just like we spoke about when you first came on, when you first introduced me and you said, the market sort of prices ahead of itself. I can't imagine that energy is going to stay low for long. But what I do believe they're pricing in is some kind of recessionary or deflationary environment. And if we expect that the market is a forward pricing mechanism, the market will bottom before the actual undercurrent bottoms. And so if this is running it, a lot of guys and gals say, hey, it's got a 6-month lead time to actual economic motion. And so if it starts turning here, it could mean that we only have about 6 months left in this kind of noise. It's very hard for me to be bearish on energy simply because you and I wouldn't even be speaking if we didn't have energy inputs, right? And so
That's true.
my thought is always, when it looks bearish, I'm not going to play it all.
Mm-hmm.
And when it begins to start holding its edge, then I get involved. But right here, as you said, this does not look like a good chart.
Yeah.
Right? It's broken through key support levels. It's got a long-term trend line that we see there that's holding. But what are we reading in RSI? 37?
Yeah, 37.
That's what it's saying. And so the first pass bounces are going to bring the trapped buyers out. They're going to go, see ya, I'm flat, I'm getting out of here. And so if we could see a pullback that holds that 78 to 77 area, and it really starts pacing that zone, or it breaks all the way out up above that 84 and then pulls back to 80, that's going to be a shot, I would say, for bullish. Right now, I think you've got all kinds of room to be bearish if you just wait for the acceleration up into resistance and let it go hard.
Yeah, that's kind of the outlook that I have right now is, especially this market. That's why I'm glad I took the profits quickly into it. It seems like this is the type of market where you will get this little move where, this was a pretty significant move down there, but it quickly bounced. And that's how this market has been. So if you're looking for continuation, it's a tough market to look for it. That's for sure. And there's very rare times where I've been like, man, I want to play the range. I can say that, at least from my experience, very rare times where I'm like, I want to play the range. I want to buy at the support, sell at the resistance. A lot of times I'm holding a little piece for the breakout. But what have you been seeing, at least for continuation patterns? Or have you just been seeing that also, the more range type of trading?
I love trading ranges. I do. So I'll trade them until they break. And I always remember that because they will eventually break, I never get bigger in size the more times that I do it. I'll just go, okay, I'm not going to go as big this time as I did the last time. And so I'll continually end up making smaller profits because I know at some point it's going to shred. But what I have been looking for in terms of motion, I just look for who's first, who's biggest, who's strongest, who's got the most capitalization, and I'll simply wait for that to trade. I've become really particular about what to hold because I have the suspicion that no matter what the Fed does tomorrow, I don't think anybody's going to go, woohoo, that's awesome. If they go, hey, I'm going to raise rates, people are going to go, what are you doing? You're trying to kill us. If they go, I'm not doing nothing, people go, oh, that's got to be bad news. Oh, I'm cutting 25 basis points. Some people are going to go, yeah, and other people are going to go, I got to go get my money out of the bank today. You know what I'm saying?
It's confusing. It's confusing.
It is. It is.
Good news, bad news, bad news, good news, and everything in between.
What did you see the Philly Fed number today?
Yeah.
And the market was still up. I was like, whoa. So I know that people are just trading. Yeah, I know people are just trading algorithmically. And they're like, all right, let's see if we can push it up a little bit. Let's see if we can push it up a little bit. And there's a call wall that's sitting at about 40.35. Did we get to it? Did we get to 40.35 on the ES? The E?
Maybe. On the ES, maybe. I know it'd probably be close on the ES.
Yeah, and so that's the big call wall there. And, I just, when you look at all the flow, it shows for tomorrow, people are hedged right in the middle. It looks very neutral because they don't know what's going to happen. So as soon as they happen, They're going to unwind the side that's not working, and they're going to keep the side that's working. And I suspect it's going to be very noisy. What time does he come out at? 2:30, 2:15 tomorrow?
2:30, like always. We'll get that. We'll get that press release at 2 p.m. and then the fireworks with the Q&A. Right. That's really when we get a little bit more. Of course, they're going to be asking, but what about inflation? That's going to be the question, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, they're seeing some good news. I think that's why the market's running, because like, it does look deflationary. I do, some really good guys said today on my Twitter feed I was reading, looks like the Fed broke the back for inflation. I don't know, maybe they have, but whatever the case, not everybody's going to be happy, and the cross currents are going to be, I'm going to be sitting on my hands for a bunch of the day, that's for sure.
I mean, they've broken some lending, and that's going to create some issues there. But have they really broken inflation? Has energy changed? Has food prices changed?
Yeah.
Has rent changed because of this? No, that's the truth.
Exactly.
And if anything, if we don't kind of get the handle on those three items, especially kind of the rent, because rent can be really sticky. Really sticky to the point where it could never go away, right? We need these rent prices to come down fast, because if they don't come back down fast, well, of course, the landlords are just going to be like, well, I'm not going to move the price down, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they run a lot of really big algorithms to figure out what rental properties should be going for, especially in big cities. And so although those things might be coming in, again, people are maybe feeling better because price has come down at the pump. And that's because we've had all this backwardation for oil and just a lot of different things going on in the oil market that I really am very perplexed about. And I know all of those energy inputs that are such a big part of what the market is, that's going to affect it and bring that down. But I really don't think that he has affected it. And frankly, these banks are just getting into trouble. Yes, they did not hedge appropriately, but if there hadn't been a bank run where everybody said, give me my money, we really would not be sitting in this space.
Yeah.
And so you have to wonder why. So if I put on my tinfoil hat, I keep it in the cupboard once in a while.
Yeah, you got to pull it out every now and then. What's the tinfoil say?
Right.
I always say that I keep water around because the aliens are coming, like signs.
So, the question might be, why did all of this spin up right now at this time? Right?
Yeah, why now?
Exactly. Right? Some guy at SVB running a consortium of hundreds of other companies underneath him goes, hey, you better take your money out now.
Someone hit the out button, right? Somebody hit the panic button. We don't know who.
And then, the reason the Credit Suisse had so much trouble is because the Saudi bank, who owned a ton of it, said, hey, we're not backstopping you. And if you go around and listen to the backstory circles, Saudi bank the part of the Saudi bank guys that hold that, they want to buy the private arm of the wealth management of Credit Suisse. And so they threw that out in the market so maybe they could get it on the cheap.
I mean, it could have been the plan from the beginning, right? I mean, let's just be honest. For Credit Suisse, at least, the writing's been on the wall for a while.
A long time.
It's been on the writing on the, they were just on this, fighting the downturn, fighting the downturn.
Yeah.
And then when they said that, the SEC, they had to stop their reporting, I was already like, okay, come on, guys.
Going to zero.
Yeah.
And it stopped at 80 cents when UBS bought it. So, and so we don't know what other things are going to fall, but really it's the crisis of confidence. And anytime somebody comes out and says, listen, everything's going to be all right, you go, everything's not going to be all right though, right? Because they just have to come out and tell us everything's going to be all right. And so, you just don't know. You don't have any idea what people are going to do because, we get this mob mentality about, oh my gosh, I got to go da 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 da. And
yeah, I think what Walton's bringing in here is an actually interesting comment. And this one's actually one that I've been thinking about. Would we get into that time where the zombie companies would start to disappear? So he put next leg bankruptcies.
You hope, Walton, you really hope, because we do have a lot of companies that are being propped up artificially because they aren't making any money. I mean, Tencent has been flat and I just pulled one out of the hat because I just listened to a report on it. It's been flat, not making anything for over a year. And so we have to start being okay with things failing instead of propping everything up and not allowing the natural ebb and flow of
real, open capitalist market, right?
Exactly. Everybody wants
it's a market. Things are supposed to fail sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it comes from being in school, everybody getting a participation button. Not that I know people are.
To tell you the truth, everybody's we're going to have to give some Fs every now and then, team. And
I know
some of these companies are going to have to disappear, especially when they're on mismanagement. Let's just be honest. If it's a systemic issue, okay, a real systemic issue. But when someone buys that much bonds at that price, I think
refuses to hedge it.
Yeah, I think we would always just say if it was a trader, a young trader, they would make fun of this trader, right?
Exactly.
So that's the way I think about it sometimes. Think about it not like it's that person in the limelight, right? But if it was just a little guy, what would they say about him?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the 100%. Same outlook. But I'm going to let you get out of here. I could talk to you all day, Anne-Marie, man. Definitely appreciate you coming on. I enjoy talking about the markets.
So much energy.
Hey, definitely great. Always good to have you on, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Enjoy tomorrow because I know it will be fun. And we might need to keep the water because the aliens are around the corner. Who knows? Have a good one. Keep that tinfoil hat in the closet.
I'll keep it in
the closet. Comes back. Have a good one. Take care. I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's 4 p.m. I hope you guys enjoyed it. She stayed with us for 30 minutes. Normally, we don't go that long, team, but I definitely enjoyed the conversation. I hope that you guys enjoyed it out there. That's what it's all about, especially in these uncertain times. I always love to bring the traders, to bring a little bit of some calmness. Just focus on what's going on, right? There's a lot of action, but you don't need to be in panic mode yourself. As a trader, we always have what? The control to be either in the market or out of the market. Keep that control. Right now, you guys see me. I've been swing trading like crazy, but these last 2 days, not a single swing trade on. And it's kind of a little bit depressing a little almost because this is what this show's about. But I also want to show you guys that there's certain moments where I even understand this is not the time for me to be taking shots. I need to find out what is going on first, and then I can take shots all I want. But if I'm taking shots into uncertainty and I don't have an edge in the market, what am I really doing? I call that a little bit more of gambling. That's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Hit the thumbs up. Catch us bright and early on PreMarket Prep. We'll find out what happens. FOMC meeting tomorrow. And of course, up next, you guys got a little bit of some Cannabis Insider. If you guys want to go ahead and check out what's going on in the cannabis industry. And we do have a big cannabis event coming up out of the Fontainebleau in Miami. So come find out from the Cannabis Insider boys how you could maybe potentially get towards that cannabis industry conference. The Capital Conference is going to be in Fontainebleau. Don't miss it. It's the best cannabis conference there is out there, especially if you're looking for some business connections or understanding of what these businesses do. If you're looking to invest in cannabis, come check out Cannabis Insider starting right now. See you guys over in a little bit. Hit the like on your way out.